In a recent video I showed you how to do a buttonhole using a buttonhole foot on a machine capable of doing a one-step buttonhole. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to use the exact same foot, a buttonhole foot, only this time on a manual sewing machine that can do a 4-step buttonhole. And the machine that I'm going to be using today is Simon, my Singer Simple. Buttonhole feet will differ depending on the make and model of your particular machine. This one, for instance, is from my brother SE625. This one is from Jerome, my Janome, and this one is the one that belongs to the Singer Simple. And as its name suggests, you can tell that this particular buttonhole foot is a little bit more simple. When I say simple, I mean pretty basic. If we take a closer look at both the buttonhole foot from the Brother SE625 and the one from the Janome, they both have this section at the top where you can actually pop a button in, and that makes the buttonhole foot more automatic in that it's actually the button that determines how big the buttonhole is going to be. With the foot from the Singer Simple, however, there isn't anywhere to put a button. This one requires you to manually work out how big you need that buttonhole to be. The button that I'm going to be using today is around about an inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark on the fabric the location where I want the buttonhole to be and also the size that I need it to be. Now, although this button is around about an inch in diameter, I'm going to allow a little extra bit because it isn't just the size of the button that you need to allow for. You also need to allow a little bit of wiggle room for the thickness of the button because you want to be able to get the button through the buttonhole. Now, if we take a look at the manual for the Singer Simple, it says that you're looking at an extra 0.3 centimeters or an eighth of an inch extra in addition to the size of the button. And hopefully the manual for your sewing machine will also tell you how much extra wiggle room to leave for your button. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put an extra smidge each side of the button, just a little tiny bit, and I'm going to see how it comes out on the piece of fabric. And as this is a test, I'll be able to adjust it for the next test until I get the size just right for that particular button. So let's do that. What I'm going to do first, put it about there. Right, so that's my inch. I'm going to just add a little bit, just a smidge. There. And at the end, I'm going to put a little horizontal mark. And I'm going to do the same at this end. And that's how much bigger it's going to be compared to my button. The next thing that we're going to want to do is actually put this buttonhole foot on the sewing machine. It's not as easy to tell with this one which is the right way around, but what you want to watch out for is with this slidey bit in the middle of the buttonhole foot, you want to make sure that this gap is where the needle's going to go. Because if you put it this way up, your needle is going to go straight through the plastic part, which when I first got this machine, oh gosh, some years ago now, that's exactly what I did. I put it on upside down. So watch for that. You need to make sure the hole is under the needle. Now, as with any snap-on sewing machine presser foot, this little bar there needs to be lined up with the shank on the actual sewing machine. And then you just put the presser bar down on top of that little metal bar, and when you've got it in the right place, it'll just snap on. Next thing to do is put the fabric underneath the buttonhole foot. What we want to do is we want to start the buttonhole at the top end of the mark. Here's my mark, here's my buttonhole foot. Now the machine is going to work from the top down, over, back up and then across the top. So we need to make sure this mark here is level with the top mark on the buttonhole foot. And then just put the foot down. Let the needle go down into the fabric right where your top horizontal line was made. The next thing that we want to do is we want to set the machine up to do the buttonhole stitch. The first style you want to look at is this top one, and you see those little red marks there. That determines how wide the actual stitches on your buttonhole are going to be. So set that if you want a really fine one or a really thick one. The next knob we want to look at is this one, and you'll notice it's got 3 little red rectangles. Now this is a 4-step buttonhole machine, so you're probably wondering why it's only got 3 little boxes. Well, the answer to that is simple, and it will become apparent when we start doing the buttonhole. This little box is step 1, and it shows that the machine is going to come down this right hand side of the buttonhole. The next one is number 2, right down here at the bottom. The next one, number 3, where the machine comes up the left hand side of the buttonhole. And then what you need to do is you need to turn it back to the middle one for the last step, which is number 4. So we're going to set it on 1, which is the first side of the buttonhole. I'm going to hold the threads at the back for a minute to stop them getting pulled down into the buttonhole, and then we're just going to go. What you're going to need to do when you're doing a buttonhole on a 4-step buttonhole machine like this is actually make a note of how far down it's stitching, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to go any further than your bottom horizontal marking. Now I'm right on the marking there at the moment, just there at the bottom of the foot. The next thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that the needle is out of the machine, so that there's a bit of a gap, and then we're going to come back to this dial and turn it to step number 2, which is this bottom one here. I'm just going to do that a couple of times. Make sure the needle is out of the machine, and turn this dial to number 3, and this is where the machine will go back up to the top. Again, what you're going to need to do is make sure that you stop the machine when it gets back to the horizontal marking at the top. Which is about there. Make sure that the needle is out of the machine. Come back to this control over here and turn it back to that middle rectangle for step number 4, the bit across the top. Do that a few times and that's your buttonhole done. Take the needle out of the machine, or make sure it's out of the machine, and then you can just remove your work. And there you have a buttonhole on a 4-step buttonhole machine. Obviously the next thing you want to do is you want to open up the middle of that buttonhole to see if your button will fit, but I think that's fine. I hope you liked today's video, and I hope it helps you gain the confidence you need to use the buttonhole foot on your sewing machine. In an upcoming video I'm going to be focusing on vintage buttonhole feet like these. If you want to see how to use these, make sure you subscribe and click that little bell below so that YouTube can let you know when I've uploaded that video and some other videos on the channel. And why not check out some of the videos that are already uploaded to the channel using the links coming up on the screen any minute now, or the ones I'll pop in the description box below for you. You can also support the channel by becoming a member to benefit from extra perks like early access to the long form videos like this one. Whatever video you do go and check out next, I hope to see you back here for the next one. And in the meantime, whatever you're sewing it with, embrace your creativity and have fun. Thank you ever so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.